1 year. It's been exactly 1 year since the accident. Thomas shuddered thinking about it. It was the worst experience of his life. It was late and he was driving home from work. A car up ahead came around the corner, swerving. Thomas tried to pull to the side to avoid a collision, but it was as if the other car was trying to hit him. He remembered the deafening crash, the unbelievable pain. This was where things got fuzzy. He was lying on the ground and the rain had started to fall. Debris laid around him. A car was on fire. Someone was walking towards him. The driver of the other car? But it was not another person. It was himself. The other Thomas was smiling bitterly. He bent over and grabbed a jagged piece of metal off the ground and raised it over his head. Even in his disoriented state, Thomas knew he had to protect himself from this psychopath. He kicked out his leg and tripped the other him. Thomas's body screamed with pain from his exertion, but by then he was in full survival mode. The other Thomas had fallen to the ground with a grunt. Taking the opportunity, Thomas grabbed the piece of metal his doppelganger had dropped and held it in front of him. He remembered the other Thomas started to laugh. "What do you think you're doing?" he rasped in Thomas's voice. "Get away from me!" Thomas screamed. He waved the metal piece back and forth jerkily in front of him. His head was pounding. Blood and rainwater had started to drip into his eye, making it hard to see. This is not how it's supposed to go. Thomas's double had spat and lunged at him. In a knee-jerk reaction, Thomas thrust the metal piece forward and felt it connect. He remembered the moist-sounding pop as the metal found its target and pushed into the other Thomas's torso. There was a scream, so loud and guttural, Thomas couldn't tell if it was himself or his double. The pounding in his head redoubled its efforts, and Thomas couldn't take it. He remembered seeing the other Thomas fall to the ground, and a second later, Thomas joined him. Thomas had woken up in a hospital bed. Doctors told him about the accident, that the other driver did not survive. At the time, everything seemed like a twisted nightmare. He was confused, but also grateful to be alive. He remembered speaking to counselors to help him through the traumatic experience. He never told them about what he experienced. Online searches only said a John Doe was killed in the accident, caught in the car fire. Thomas shuddered. He didn't like thinking back to that event. He had wanted to get away from the memory so badly he had quit his job, moved to the West Coast, and tried to start fresh. Pushing the memories aside, Thomas got out of his car and walked up to his house. As he got to the door and brought his key up, he noticed the door was slightly ajar. He froze and stared at it. This couldn't be happening. He had moved in only a few months ago, and already he had been burgled. He slowly pushed the door open with his shoe. It was dark inside except for the overhead stove light, which cast an eerie glow from the kitchen. Thomas flicked the light switch in the entryway, but it didn't come on. He took a step forward and heard a soft crunch. Looking down, he saw he had stepped on broken glass. The light bulb had been broken. He grabbed an umbrella by the door and slowly walked in. Nothing seemed out of place. When he got into the living room, he saw someone sitting on the couch with their back turned to him. Thomas was frozen in fear. He could barely make out the silhouette in the darkness, but there was definitely someone there. Swallowing thickly, Thomas held the umbrella in front of him and in a croaking voice spoke, Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" The responding silence was so pronounced that he heard buzzing in his ears. The silhouette slowly stood up and turned to face him. Thomas felt his legs turn to jelly as he saw himself walking into the dim light coming from the kitchen. His whole body shook with fear as the other Thomas grinned. "Your time is up." His double responded quietly. Thomas felt his body shuddering uncontrollably, hearing his own voice coming from this impossible person. "What are you?" Thomas asked. His voice was barely a whisper. His double walked slowly towards him. "I'm you, Thomas. You've had your time. You can't have more of it. Not like last time. You've gotten too comfortable and forgotten your place." Thomas didn't realize he was backing up until he hit the wall behind him. The shock of it made him drop the umbrella. His double continued forward until they were inches apart, and with a barely audible whisper said, "Now it's my turn."